Non-Shuangwen. No Goldfinger plus no CP plus no upgrade plus no props plus no system, infinite flow plus suspense and thriller plus all staff intelligence online, special reminder. If you are currently taking the subway, please make sure to check under the seat to ensure that there is no corpse lying there. A mysterious subway train with 18 stations throughout the journey, every stop, passengers have to face eerie dungeons. Sailing alone at sea, a cruise ship that can never stop, a magnificent and secret terrifying estate, a self-service restaurant with bizarre rules but overcrowded in the abandoned slaughterhouse, a heart-pounding hide-and-seek game. When you board this subway, there is no way out. We can only make every effort to reach the finish line. This article is not a cool article. Not Shuangwen. Not Shuangwen. You can't just kill anyone who doesn't like it. No. 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 Chapter 1. No Man in the Subway. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's rare to find a seat available on the subway to the city center on weekends. At the moment when the car door opened, Chen Shursan flew onto the car and got in first. Due to the excessive movement, the wireless earphones rolled into the seat with a rumbling sound. He paused under the seat, searching for the earphones. The touch in my hand is dry with a slight toughness. When I touch it again, it happens to touch my tall nose and cold lips. This is a face. Under his seat, there is a person lying down. Chen Shursan suddenly jumped up from his seat and turned around to look under the seat, amidst curious glances from those around him. The seat is empty and clean, with nothing underneath. How could this be? Was everything just an illusion? He slowly sat back in his seat, rubbed his fingers, and looked up to see the long-haired girl sitting next to him on the opposite car window. The girl stared straight at herself, her lips slightly curved, revealing a slightly unnatural smile. This smile made people feel uneasy. Chen Shursan turned his head and saw the girl sitting very upright, with her head lowered and her long hair hanging down to cover her face, without any visible expression. Chen Shursan was about to ask when his friend's messages were sent one after another with a crackling sound. "Old Chen, where are you? Why haven't you arrived yet? You shouldn't have stood me up, kid. I just said there are still 15 minutes left, but now it's all a few 15 minutes. Upon seeing the information, Chen Shursan couldn't help but feel strange. This was a subway trip to the city center, with numerous stations not far apart. It would take about 2 to 3 minutes to reach the next station. But today, after so long, the subway still hasn't stopped. Is the car broken? Or did you change the route? The subway is speeding at an extremely fast speed. He twisted his body and leaned closer to the car window to observe. The lights inside the carriage reflected on the glass, and besides the dark tunnel quickly being overlooked, there was also the smiling face of the girl beside him. This time, he finally saw the girl's face clearly. This is a very beautiful girl, with fair skin, rosy lips, and big eyes. She is looking at him with a smile through the reflection of the glass. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something, and his breath suddenly froze. If this girl is sitting, then when he looks back outside the car window, he should see her back. How could you see the front face refracted on the glass? Shouldn't it be? This girl should be the back of her head, with a face. Thinking of this, Chen Shursan clenched his slightly numb fingers and quickly stood up next to the car door. He tried to control himself not to appear too flustered, but keenly noticed that all the passengers in the carriage were turning their gaze to him at the same time. The subway in motion finally stopped at an unknown place. He rushed out of the carriage without waiting for the door to fully open. Surprisingly, outside the carriage was not a platform, but a wilderness of mountains and ridges. A dilapidated travel bus stood alone on a grassy dirt road, with tail lights flashing and seemingly waiting for someone. This is not normal. He clearly came out of the subway. How could he reach the outskirts as soon as he opened the door? And even though it's April now, the temperature here is so cold that it hurts through every bone. Chen Shirsan turned back stiffly and looked at the subway he had just taken. The people in the carriage were densely gathered at the door, but no one got off. They were clinging to the car window, clinging to the door, their pale faces fixed on Chen Shirsan's direction, and the resentment in their eyes made their spine shiver. It seems that this instance has a newcomer. Get in the car quickly, everyone is waiting for you. Just as Chen Shirsan was in a dilemma, a middle-aged man poked his head out of the bus. He was wearing gold-rimmed glasses and a white shirt, looking polite. The man calmly greeted Chen Shirsan with a guarded gaze. My name is Tang Liao. You must be able to get off the subway because you've already noticed something's wrong with it. This shows that you're quite clever. As for those who are not clever, they will never have a chance to come down again. However, I don't have time to take care of them now. The bus will be driving in 15 minutes. You can come up first. Behind him was a subway with dangers everywhere, and in front of him was a travel bus full of unknowns. Chen Shirsan looked at the people in the subway with malicious expressions, and then at Tang Liao's gentle smile, and decisively chose to board the travel bus. The bus was filled with a nauseating musty smell, the seats were covered in mottled marks, and there was even a large pool of dried-up vomit on the ground that had not been cleaned yet. Chen Shirsan picked and chose around and finally found a relatively clean spot. In addition to Tang Liao, there are 4 men and 1 woman on the car. The driver should be sitting in the driver's seat. A man who looks very sturdy and often works out is called Black Brother. The thin and nervous man sitting in a huddle is called Little Glasses. While stuffing a hamburger into his mouth, he smiled and looked at Chen Shirsan's man, calling him Fatty. In addition, there was a beautiful woman named Wu Meili with a hot figure and a beautiful appearance, sitting in her seat with an ugly face. Tang Liao smiled and patiently explained the current situation in detail. They are currently in a strange situation. The subway is a transfer station, and each stop corresponds to the opening of a dungeon. After completing the dungeon, participants need to return to the platform again and take the subway to go to the next station. Although these dungeons have different styles, they all have a common feature of being extremely dangerous. Players need to collect clues, complete tasks, strive to find the maximum survival mechanism of the dungeon, and then strive to survive. Perhaps due to the lack of information, the answer to these questions is still unclear as to why such a bizarre event exists and how it selects participants. Chen Shirsan sighed inwardly. As a thriller game anchor, he was not very familiar with infinite flow survival dungeons. Therefore, it is acceptable to be caught in such a strange way just by taking the subway. What can I do to get out of here and return to the real world? Tang Liao looked at Chen Shirsan with admiration. Most newcomers who come here often say things like, "Where is this place? Why am I here? This is illegal imprisonment, let me out quickly, I need to report to the police," and so on. It was rare to encounter a calm and not noisy newcomer, and Tang Liao's tense nerves were slightly relieved. At present, we don't know, but based on the known information, we speculate that we may need to pass the dungeon all the way and take the subway to the destination station. He affectionately patted Chen Shirsan's shoulder, his tone full of care for the younger generation. Don't be afraid, I have experienced 3 rounds of dungeons and can be considered quite experienced. Wait a moment, just follow me. Chapter 2. Driver's Corpse. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. With a loud bang, Chen Shirsan was awakened from his sleep. What a broken road. You punctured my car tire, it's really unlucky. The driver in a black uniform cursed and rummaged through the boxes beside him to find repair tools before getting off the car. At this moment, the sky outside was gradually getting dark, and only the dim yellow lights inside the car were flickering with unsettling light. The moldy smell in the air made the nasal cavity itch uncomfortable. Cough 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 cough. Cough cough cough. Chen Shirsan was so stimulated by the smell that he burst out with a violent cough, successfully earning the white eyes of the woman behind him. Wu Meili played with her long nails, which had lost half of their rhinestones, and her tone of disgust was not concealed. What bad luck. There are so many new players in this dungeon, and they are the most useless. After speaking, she glared at the chubby guy and his little glasses with annoyance. Then he looked at Tang Liao with a somewhat pretentious admiration in his eyes. Not like Brother Liao. He's smart and experienced. He has a particularly masculine taste. Brother Liao, you will protect me later, won't you? Chen Shisan didn't pay attention to the woman's sarcasm. He live-streamed all night last night and was so tired that he fell asleep on the bus. Now that he had replenished his sleep and his mind was clear, he quickly observed his surroundings and took out the travel manual from the bus, carefully reading it. The fat man leaned over and said, "Hey buddy, why are you looking at this? Look at this to determine the destination of the travel bus." Upon hearing this, Wu Meili covered her mouth and chuckled, "You just entered the dungeon and fell asleep. Can you still know your destination? I'm afraid you're not trying to show off." "I know." Chen Shisan met the woman's disdainful gaze and accentuated his tone, "The destination of the travel bus is a place called Gi Village. According to the eerie style, specific information about the replica will only be released by the system when specific conditions are triggered. So they all don't know the travel destination." Now hearing a newcomer mention a place name, everyone's attention was focused on Chen Shisan. Looking at the skeptical eyes of the crowd, Chen Shisan calmly explained. Firstly, the fuel gauge shows that there are still 3 liters of gasoline left. Based on the fuel consumption of this model of travel bus, it can run almost 50 kilometers. Secondly, according to the signboard outside the car window, there are only 3 very remote villages within 50 kilometers of the nearby wilderness, which are suitable for temporary travel. Our destination should be one of the 3 villages. Once again, according to the travel manual, Gi Village holds a grand soul summoning festival in January each year. At that time, the deceased will celebrate together with the living. The living need to wear black clothes and red bracelets to ward off evil spirits. I just noticed that the driver is wearing a black uniform and a red bracelet on his hand holding a wrench. So he is either preparing to attend the soul summoning festival or sending us over. Finally, the clock inside the car shows that the current time is 5 p.m. and the temperature outside is -30 degrees Celsius. Look outside the car window, although it's only 5 o'clock, it's already very dark. It's getting dark so early, coupled with the temperature being so cold, it's clearly winter. It's also in line with the time of Gi Village's soul summoning festival. So, I guess that the destination of our tour bus should be Gi Village. Of course, if you have different opinions, you can also raise them and let's discuss them together. After speaking, Chen Shisan looked humbly at the crowd, as if seeking their opinions. Tang Liao clapped his hands in admiration and said, "Not bad. Although you are a newcomer, your potential is limitless. What kind of job do you do?" After learning that Chen Shisan is a thriller game anchor, Tang Liao's smile became even brighter. Black Brother took a long leg and took a big step to sit opposite Chen Shisan. Suddenly, he stood up and knocked Wu Meili, who was standing up and moving, into a stumble. The chubby guy was so excited that his eyes lit up. You should know that he was also a newcomer, and in this life and death critical dungeon, no one wanted his teammates to be stunned. When he got on the car, he was scolded by Wu Meili. But Chen Shisan's reasoning just now not only dealt a harsh blow to Wu Meili's face, but also helped them find a place for the newcomers. He was naturally overjoyed. Little Glasses nodded in agreement. Since the travel destination has been determined now, he will continue to huddle in his seat and look out the window to observe the driver repairing the car. Outside the car window, the new tires have been installed, and the damaged tires have been thrown aside, but the driver doesn't know where they went. Missing. What does missing mean? Has he changed to a different repair spot? Black Brother leaned his head against the window and quickly looked around the bus, front, back, left, and right. The driver was indeed nowhere to be seen. The key to the bus is still with the driver. Without the key, they not only cannot open the windows and doors, but also cannot start the vehicle. Watching the weather getting darker and darker, it was raining and snowing outside with a crackling sound. The winter snow and rain weather caused by the high temperature difference in the inversion layer and the high humidity on the forest ground is the coldest. Even if the air conditioning is turned on in the car, it can make people shiver uncontrollably. Wu Meili hugged her arm with one hand and rubbed her thighs with the other. What should I do, Brother Liao? It's so dark and cold outside. If the driver doesn't come back, shouldn't we stay overnight in this rundown place? I don't want to stay here. Compared to staying overnight here, Tang Liao remembered another issue, which was when the driver said that the travel bus would take about 10 hours, which means that according to the original plan, they should arrive at their destination around 10 o'clock tonight. Now that the driver is lost and it's raining and snowing outside, it's very likely that they won't be able to reach the destination of the replica on time. What would happen if they were late? Tang Liao dare not think. He frowned and stared closely at the clock on the bus, his face becoming very unattractive as time went on. Black brother, please get off the car and go find the driver. Everyone present knew that Tang Liao had the most experience in dungeons, so he listened very much to him. Black brother received the order to smash the car window and go out. Wait a minute. Chen Shisanyi stopped Black brother's fist and pointed to the light red liquid slowly flowing down the rear window of the car. Don't look for it, the driver should not be able to come back anymore. The bloodstains flowing down mixed with the snow and rain, staining the glass windows blurry. Then, amidst the frightened gazes of everyone, a skinned corpse with exposed facial muscle texture slowly slid down from the roof, hanging upside down. Chapter 3. Thrilling Tour Group. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Wu Meili shouted in terror and hid behind Tang Liao. This corpse is wearing a black uniform and a red bracelet, clearly the driver. The driver's death instantly shrouded the car in fear. This indicates that in this wilderness, there is something that can scrape people's skin, staring at them from outside the car. This thing is separated from them by a car, and it may break the window and come in at any time. Black brother swallowed his saliva and looked sincerely at Tang Liao, seeking his opinion. This place is too dangerous. Tang Gu, no matter what, we have to leave here. If you want to leave here, you must first get the car key. But the key is still with the driver. The meaning of his unfinished words is very clear. The key is still on the driver's body, and the driver is still outside the car. If you want to get the driver's body in, you have to break the car window. However, if you can kill an adult man like the driver silently in such a short time, the combat power of that thing outside must far exceed that of an ordinary person. Breaking the car window will undoubtedly put everyone in danger. I disagree. Wu Meili screamed as she stepped back, you can't break the car window. What if I break the car window and that thing comes in? I don't want to die. Thinking that something outside would even peel off her face when killing someone, Wu Meili felt a piercing pain on her face. You know, she finally cleared the previous dungeon by holding her thighs, and she didn't want to become a shameless corpse so quickly. Wu Meili's collapse and screams made Tang Liao hesitate. While what Black brother said made sense, who would dare to gamble their lives? His gaze couldn't help but feel like it was on Chen Shirsan's face. Before he could ask Chen Shirsan for his opinion, Little Glasses suddenly trembled and pointed at the rear car window, shouting loudly. There! Hurry up and look behind. Everyone followed his fingers and saw a humanoid monster with a pitch-black body. With 3 fingers on his hand, he slowly poked his head out from the bottom of the car. It climbed onto the rear window of the car, with a face without facial features, crooked and wearing the driver's face. Under the reflection of the car lights, the monster twitched the muscles on its face, and the driver's face had a strange curve, forming a strange smile that was indescribable. Ding-dong. The sudden sound made Wu Meili kneel on the ground with a limp leg. Welcome everyone to take the Eerie subway to the new station. This site is a dungeon of Thriller Tour. The dungeon lasts for a total of 12 hours. The number of participants in the replica is 6. Please confirm the destination of this trip. Participants who are still alive at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning will be considered as cleared. Otherwise, they will be considered as cleared. Wishing everyone a pleasant dungeon and smooth clearance. With the end of the system prompt sound, the car once again fell silent, a thrilling tour group. You can tell from the name that this dungeon is quite challenging. The fat man carefully scrutinized the black monster lying on the car window. Oh my goodness, what kind of strange thing is this? How come it looks like a person and doesn't look like a person? Little Glasses grabbed the chubby man's sleeve and boldly poked his head out. It was this thing that killed the driver. Black Brother quickly picked up the mop and used the mop stick to charge straight at the monster while quickly retreating to the driver's seat. Don't get so close to it, everyone. Come over quickly. Let's gather together. Hey. Chen-Shur-san. What are you doing? Don't act recklessly. It's dangerous. Come back quickly. Chen-Shur-san didn't meet the others at the front of the car, but instead walked straight towards the car window, seeming curious about this monster. Wu Meili tightly grasped the arms of Black Brother and Tang Liao, huddled herself in a circle of 4 people. That newcomer, are you looking for death? If you want to die, just stay away from us and don't drag us to bury you. Chen-Shur-san ignored the tense greetings from the crowd behind him. With a hint of curiosity, he extended his hand and opened his 5 fingers. In front of the monster's face with human skin, he tentatively shook it and knocked on the glass window a few more times. Then, he turned around and showed a relaxed smile. It has no vision, it can't see. And, it can't hear either. It relies on vibration to distinguish its position. This is undoubtedly great news for the people in the car. Tang Liao quickly walked out of the crowded crowd and gestured to the monster like Chen-Shur-san for a while. After confirming that the monster really had no vision or hearing, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Since the monster's 5 senses are incomplete, I think Black Brother's proposal is feasible. After all, the system just mentioned that we need to determine the destination of our trip. Then everyone, don't waste your time. Hurry up and get the keys and rush to Gi Village. Black Brother, you have the best physical fitness, while Chubby Guy, you have the strongest strength. I'll break the front window of the car later, and you two will be responsible for going out of the front window and sneaking around to the back of the car to carry the driver's body in. Upon receiving the instructions, Black Brother and Fatty hesitated for a moment before starting to prepare for exercise. Wait a minute. My suggestion is, no one should go out. Upon hearing Chen-Shur-san refute Tang Liao's orders, Wu Meili's delicate facial features immediately became harsh. Yo. Some people are useless themselves and don't even let others become heroes. Do you have a way to drive the car to Gi Village by yourself if you don't let everyone out? Chen-Shur-san tilted his head in confusion and looked at the woman who was constantly rolling her eyes. Perhaps we can skip going to Gi Village. He pondered his tone and tentatively said to the bewildered group of people, you all heard the system prompt just now, right? It says, determine the destination of this travel bus. Players who remain alive until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning are considered to have cleared the level. The destination of the travel bus is Gi Village. We have already confirmed it, haven't we? What we need to do next is to ensure that we can live until tomorrow morning, isn't that enough? The rules never said that we must arrive at our destination tonight. Chen-Shur-san's words immediately brightened the eyes of several people. Yes. They have been struggling with the car keys and what's wrong with Gi Village. This destination is like a deliberate condition given in an application question that does not participate in the calculation of the answer, confusing them all. Having figured this out, Black Brother spoke excitedly, it's now 6 o'clock in the evening, which means we just need to stay in the car until tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. There's no need to take the risk of getting the car keys at all. Chapter 4. The Woman with Peeled Skin. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chen Shisan's performance made Tang Liao, who was accustomed to giving orders, feel a bit embarrassed. After all, in the workplace for many years, emotional fluctuations were quickly masked by him. It's really great not to need to get off the car and take risks. Xiao Chen, it's really fortunate to have you. From now on, everyone will stay in the car and get closer. We'll clear customs tomorrow morning. The chubby man kindly distributed the remaining chocolate in his pocket to everyone, and with high-calorie food on his stomach, Wu Meili's mood finally improved a bit. She took the initiative to say hello. Hey! That newcomer, go and raise the temperature of the air conditioning a bit. It's too cold. Chen Shisan nodded and walked towards the driver's seat, but instead of raising the temperature, he turned off the air conditioning directly. Wu Meili was so angry at his actions that she shouted, "Why are you turning off the air conditioning? Are you trying to freeze us to death in winter? Brother Liao. Speak up. If you indulge him again, this newcomer will climb onto your head." Tang Liao looked up at the arrogant and domineering woman, and then lightly glanced at Chen Shisan, who was studying the electricity meter. His expression remained unchanged and he said, "Don't make a fuss, Xiao Chen must have his reason for doing this." Right, Xiao Chen. Chen Shisan did this for his own reason, as he noticed that the battery level in the car was only 30% remaining. Such a low battery level is clearly not suitable for turning on the air conditioning again. If you don't want to spend the night in the dark tonight, turning off the air conditioning is the best choice. Wu Meili was choked to the point where she couldn't speak. After all, even though it was cold without air conditioning, they could still hold on. If there was really no light, who knew what would happen in this strange place? The chubby man felt a bit embarrassed when he saw the scene, and quickly made a comeback. "Oh, it's rare to get into a dungeon, it's fate." Everyone quickly split up and checked the doors and windows, try to close them as tightly as possible, and don't let any monsters outside come in. And the ventilation windows on the roof also need to be sealed. His proposal quickly received everyone's approval, and a few people worked together to inspect the doors and windows, seal the ventilation windows, and finally sat on the ground exhausted. The fat man chewed on candy and observed the motionless humanoid monster lying on the back window of the car. During their busy period, it remained motionless and climbed steadily. Is this monster always lying here? Black Brother poured out all the repair tools that could be used from the repair box and weighed them one by one in his hand. It's best to be like this. It should be more discerning and lie down until tomorrow morning, so we can all calm down a bit. The fat man shook his hands and teased the blind monster, appearing very excited. Is this the legendary novice aura? I just heard from you that the dungeons you encountered are particularly dangerous, and you'll die half of them as soon as you come up. I didn't expect my first instance to be just a fake shot, it was quite simple. Chen Shisan is not as optimistic as the chubby guy. He silently looks at the monster on the car window, recalling every word the system prompts him to say. The clearance condition is survival, so it is very likely that something that poses a threat to their lives will occur during this period. The copy cannot be so simple, let them sit in the car until dawn. The feeling of unease grew stronger and stronger, and he looked around and checked the car window again. No. Why is Wu Meili missing? Black Brother waved his hand casually and said, She went to the bathroom. You said she's from a big girl's family, and it's not convenient for us big men to accompany her. So she went on her own. Chen Shisan looked serious and said, How long has it been since she went? Almost. It's been about 20 minutes. Damn it. The door of the bathroom was knocked open by Black Brother and Fat Man. In the narrow bathroom of the travel bus, Wu Meili was leaning against the toilet in a twisted position. Her face has been peeled off, and the tight white shirt collar has been dyed a dazzling red with blood. Chen Shisan approached Wu Meili's body and crouched down to observe up close. Hey buddy, your taste is too strong. Why are you getting so close to her? Aren't you afraid? Said the chubby man with a few clicks. The driver's entire shirt was stained with blood, but Wu Meili only dyed one collar red, Chen Shirsan said as he took a leather belt and played with Wu Meili's face. Also, the muscle lines on her face are much smoother than the driver's. The fat man covered his mouth and nose and exited the bathroom, trying to think like Chen Shirsan. This indicates that. Did it have a conscience? It peels women's skin. Is gentler than peeling men's skin. The little glasses were spinning around in a hurry, and he felt that the entire travel bus had become unsafe now. Don't worry about the monster's skinning technique. How did Wu Meili die on Earth? There's not even a window here, how could a monster get in? Chen Shirsan's gaze wandered around and finally landed on the bloody toilet. Now it seems that the only entrance in the bathroom that can lead to the outside should be here. Are you saying that the monster crawled in from the toilet? Such a small hole. Black Brother looked at the toilet with his head in confusion. With a diameter of only 10 centimeters, could such a large monster emerge? Tang Liao remained calm, and the changes in the situation exceeded his expectations. In order to be safe, he quickly guided a few people to use seat covers to block the toilet hole, and then closed the bathroom door tightly. When they looked at the monster lying on the back window of the car again, the expressions on each person's faces were much more solemn than before. Black Brother waved the wrench he had already chosen and said, "Let me tell you, offense is the best defense. Instead of waiting for it to come up from the toilet again, why don't we take action and dry it first? Anyway, it's deaf and blind, not necessarily our opponent." Although he said so, Black Brother was too cautious not to directly take action. He asked and looked at Tang Liao. Tang Liao quickly judged in his heart that they now have 5 big men who have an advantage over monsters in terms of strength and number of people. If you give it a full blow, maybe you can really kill the monster. Just as he was about to agree, Chen Shirsan's voice rang out. So. What if it's not it, but them? Upon hearing Chen Shirsan's question, several people present instantly turned pale. They have to admit that this situation is very likely. After all, they have just been staring at the monster on the car window. It is almost motionless and has not left the sight of a few people. The possibility of clone killing Wu Meili is too small. Unless there's more than one monster like this outside. Chapter 5. Monsters in the entire luggage compartment. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chen Shirsan supported his head and vigorously recalled everything he had seen since getting on the car. Finally, he looked up and said, "Did anyone check the luggage compartment before getting on the car?" Luggage compartment. Fat guy, like Chen Shirsan, is a newcomer. He got off the subway and came to this terrifying place, just wanting to leave quickly. Where would he pay attention to what luggage compartment? Although Black Brother and Tang Liao are not newcomers, their attention was clearly drawn to the confusing conditions given in the dungeon. Along the way, they were thinking about how to deal with them when they arrived at their destination, not caring about the luggage compartment on the bus. Little glasses also shook their head, indicating that they had not checked before. Tang Liao pinched his fingers and controlled his gradually becoming restless state. Although Wu Meili was arrogant and domineering, her observation ability was always good and she was more careful than many people. This is also why he tolerated her staying by his side all the time. However, now that this woman is dead, even if she has actually checked the luggage compartment, she has no chance to analyze the clues she knows. Black Brother slapped his head like he was venting. "No, Xiao Chen, why are you fussing about the luggage compartment at this time?" Chen Shirsan spoke while organizing his thoughts. "We assume that the monster that killed Wu Meili really crawled in from the toilet. But the toilet does not lead to the outside of the car, instead it is a filtering device that leads to the bottom of the car. And a large part of the space under the car is in the luggage compartment." Little Glasses clearly thought of something. He was trembling all over and didn't know if it was cold or afraid. "So, you suspect these things might have been hidden in the luggage compartment from the beginning," he said, have you followed us all the way? When the driver is ready to change the tire, they need to open the cabin door to get the tire. That's when they attack the driver. Chen Shursan nodded and said, this is a possibility. However, there is another possibility. The luggage compartment is located near the engine. In winter, next to the car's engine, there are always kittens who are afraid of the cold. The fat man hugged his arm and shrunk himself as much as possible into a very eye-catching big ball. That guy, talking about monsters, why are you carrying cats? Fatty and Black didn't understand Tang Liao's meaning, but Tang Liao and Little Glasses understood. Tang Liao's face instantly turned pale, and he no longer had the same demeanor as before. Little Glasses let out a scream of fear, their legs softened, and they crouched down holding their heads. The longer the vehicle is driven, the hotter the engine will be. In the cold winter, when a kitten is afraid of the cold and wants warmth, it will surround the hot engine, Chen Shursan said as he looked at the chubby and black guy with a bewildered expression. When I got into the car, it was still daytime, and now it's already evening. This car has been driving for several hours, and the engine must have been very hot. If these monsters are like kittens, they like warmth. That long driving time should be enough to attract a monster from the entire luggage compartment, right? Chen Shursan's leisurely words successfully surprised the fat guy and black brother, causing them to explode. After a suffocating minute, Little Glasses supported Tang Liao's arm and finally stood up trembling from the ground. He looked helplessly at the other few people, their voices still trembling. What should we do? We shouldn't really have to fight against them, right? Whether it's the driver or Wu Meili, why didn't any sound come out when they were attacked? What exactly are the attack methods of these monsters? Tang Liao and He Gu were indeed pioneers in the dungeon. They were the first to react and quickly selected the weapon that suited them. The chubby guy also panicked and leaned in. He picked out 2 hammers from the repair box and threw them into the hands of Little Glasses and Chen Shursan, while he weighed a large axe himself. We still don't know the better attack methods of these monsters, he said, take it quickly, don't be stunned. If you really have to fight hard later, you also need a weapon. Little Glasses was already in a state of shock, but now he was startled by the weight of the hammer. His wrist softened and the hammer slipped out. The hammer, weighing heavily, made a sizable clang sound under the car. This sound made the monster, who was originally lying quietly on the car window, jump as if frightened, quickly jumping from one side of the window to the other. The sudden action of the monster caused a pause in the selection of weapons by several people. What's the situation? It was startled by the vibration, right? Right, that's right. It must be like this. Chen Shursan frowned, observed the monster for a while, and then made a shush gesture to the 4 of them. He grabbed 2 screwdrivers and they collided heavily, making a piercing friction sound. The monster lying on the back window suddenly raised its head. It landed on all 4s and quickly flipped up to the roof of the car. A second later, it showed its head again on the front window of the car. The people inside the car, you look at me, I look at you, and they all see the same shocking information in each other's eyes. These monsters, you can hear them. At 9 o'clock in the evening, in just 3 hours, the monster could already hear. These monsters will evolve. Tang Liao took a deep breath, as calm as he was, unable to conceal his shock at the moment. They have evolved into hearing. These things will evolve. At such a fast pace of evolution, who would know what they would look like tomorrow morning? Black Brother spat fiercely on the ground, muttering anxiously. I said we went out and fought against them a long time ago. You just don't agree. What should we do now? They can hear me now. The situation is pressing, and everyone present knows that they can no longer sit idly by. If it continues to be consumed, once they evolve their vision or stronger abilities, this travel bus may not be able to stop them. The chubby guy suggested, how about we take advantage of them not being able to see and find a way to run? Run. Chen Shursan shook his head rationally. These monsters move extremely fast, far exceeding the limit speed of the human body. In addition, it is now night and there are mountain roads outside. It's impossible for a group of people who are unfamiliar with the mountain road to run past these monsters. Even if we were lucky enough to get rid of these monsters, the temperature outside is so low. If they don't wait until tomorrow morning, they are likely to freeze to death due to hypothermia. So, isn't it certain that we will die? Chen Shisan lowered his head and pondered for a moment, his eyes shining brightly. I've come up with a solution, maybe we can give it a try. Chapter 6. Adventure and Try. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After speaking, he searched around the driver's seat and found a large metal insulated cup with a lot of water inside, weighing 3 to 4 pounds. Wait a moment, we will divide into 3 groups to take action. The first group is responsible for smashing open the car window from the side of the car and throwing the driver's thermos as far away as possible. The monster has hearing and is very sensitive. It will follow the sound to chase after the thermos. At this moment, the second group of people quickly smashed the rear window of the car. We need to carry the driver's body in and get the key. With the key, we'll drive. Our human speed may not be able to compete with monsters, but if we're driving, they might not be able to catch up. The third group of people, according to the monster's movements, cooperate with the other 2 groups at any time to make noise. Let the monster be distracted. This method has only a 50% chance of success, and once we break open the car window and lose cover, we will be even more dangerous than we are now. So, I need to seek everyone's opinions. Black Brother gritted his teeth and said, "That's it. You're really fucking it. It's better to fight than to die. I practice sports, and throwing shot put is my profession. I will be responsible for throwing the thermos later. I will definitely set a world record." The fat man quickly raised his hand and said, "I have the strength, I can take responsibility for carrying the body." A great man, even if he dies, he must die in the process of resistance. If he dares not do anything and waits to be abused by monsters, then wouldn't I be too ashamed? Tang Liao is good at driving. Once they get the key, they will throw it to him and he will start the bus at the fastest speed. Little Glasses had some concerns at first, but seeing that everyone wanted to fight together, he clenched his fists as if he had made a great decision and agreed. Quickly, the 5 people each took their place and stood in their respective positions. Tang Liao and Fat Man were lying on the back window of the car, while Black Brother aimed his escape hammer at the side window. The small glasses are small in stature and slim in shape, making them perfect for wandering in cars and creating noise, ensuring that monsters are not attracted by the sound of broken windows. 3, 2, 1. Let's start. As soon as Tang Liao finished his command, Black Brother swung his escape hammer wildly and smashed it into the glass. With great force, even the ground of the bus was trembling. The monster lying on the front window of the car heard a sound and quickly turned around, about to come towards Black Brother. "Little Glasses, come on." Upon hearing the shout, Little Glasses lifted a heavy hammer and smashed it hard against the ground at the front of the car. Bang! The huge sound indeed caught the monster's attention. It hesitated and didn't know where to go, and finally leaned over the front window of the car again. Discovering that the tactics were effective, Black Brother was so excited that he wanted to throw a thermos. He accidentally looked in the direction of his Little Glasses, and the scene before him made him feel that all his strength had been drained. "I'll go fuck you. Little Glasses. Be careful before your eyes." A noticeably shorter monster slowly crawled out from the direction of the car, apparently stimulated by the sound of small glasses hitting the hammer just now, and also came out to explore. 2. There are 2 here. 2 monsters were curiously lying on the front window of the car, their intertwined figures resembling a huge black cloth, blocking the moonlight in front of the car. Tang Liao's gaze sank and he said, "Black Brother. Hurry up and throw away the thermos. Don't waste time." Black finally woke up from the panic of the previous second, his anger sinking into his dantian, and he took a standard horse stance. Then he raised his hand high, and with a cheering sound, he slammed the huge insulated cup outside the car window. The car window was piled with weeds and stones, and the metal cup hit the hard stone with a loud bang. The two monsters in the front window of the car, attracted by the huge noise, quickly jumped up and chased towards the direction of the thermos. Tang Liao stepped forward and quickly sat in the driver's seat. We succeeded. They really ran away. Hurry up and go pick up the body. Hurry up. At the same time as Black Brother threw the thermos, Chen Shursan smashed open the rear window of the car. At this moment, even the monster was gone. He and Fat Man quickly joined forces to hold the driver still hanging on the back window. Brother, I'm holding his waist. Help me. Little Glasses was concerned about the progress of the two people in the rear window of the car while handing over all the metal objects he could touch to Black Brother. The two of them cooperated harmoniously and threw them far outside the car window. The Fat Man exerted great force and his face turned red from being suppressed, but due to the driver's belt being caught by the storage rack on the roof, he could only pull the driver's upper body in. I said you two should hurry up. The monster is coming back soon. I have nothing to throw away. Black Brother urged, took the escape hammer handed over by the small eyeglass, and then threw it out. The Little Glasses were so nervous that they bit their fingers, afraid to disturb the two people struggling with the body in the back window of the car. No way. This guy's belt is hanging up and can't be dragged down. Tang Liao's grip on the steering wheel was filled with sweat in his palm, and his urging voice changed from urgent to urgent. You guys go out alone and see where the driver got stuck. If we keep dragging around like this, when can we leave? Chen Shursan moved his neck and crawled out through the crack in the glass. Brother, come back quickly. It's too dangerous outside. The Fat Man wanted to stop him when he heard Tang Liao shouting angrily from the driver's seat. Don't stop him. If you don't bring the key in again, do you want everyone to die together? Chen Shursan didn't pay attention to the Fat Man's obstruction. He leaned out and deftly untied the driver's belt, which was hanging. A black figure flashed by, and his sharp claws, carrying strong winds, rushed straight towards his face. On the roof, there's actually a third monster. Be careful. The chubby guy was closest to Chen Shursan, and as he watched the monster's claws sweep over Chen Shursan's broken hair on his forehead, he felt a chill all over his body. Chen Shursan's reaction was extremely fast. He turned around holding the driver's body, and the monster's sharp claws left long scratches on the driver's body. At the critical moment, the chubby man suddenly thought of the escape hammer in his hand. He used all his strength to aim at the monster's head and hit it hard. The monster didn't dodge either, so it was hit hard by the escape hammer on the door. The huge impact left it feeling a bit overwhelmed. Chen Shursan took this opportunity and quickly withdrew into the carriage with the driver's body. As soon as the driver's body was pulled in, Little Glasses immediately pulled out the car key from his pocket. He threw it hard at Tang Liao and was caught by him. The monster on the car roof finally regained consciousness from the brief confusion. He was so angry that he grabbed into the gap in the glass, but the dark red blood was continuously flowing from the glass. Tang Liao stepped on the gas pedal fiercely, and the travel bus rushed forward at an extremely fast speed in the dark. The huge inertia threw the monster still digging into the glass hole out. Chapter 7. Their Evolution. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Did we succeed? Did we get rid of these monsters? Little Glasses sat slumped in the seat like survivors of the disaster. Black Brother's expression couldn't hide his excitement. He ran up and gave Tang Liao a hard slap while driving, celebrating the success of this collaboration. The Fat Man gasped for breath and watched as Chen Shursan ignored the glass cut on his arm, instead eagerly flipping over to look at the driver's back. What's wrong, buddy? Are you scared? Don't worry, the monster hasn't followed. Chen Shirsan took off the driver's shirt, which clearly showed 5 scratches of flesh flipping over. Looking at the marks on it, he finally understood why the wound on Wu Meili's face was smoother than the wound on the driver's face. The fat man saw that Chen Shirsan's face was not good, so he took the initiative to approach him and looked at the back of the driver. "I'll go, this monster is killing me. I've caught it so hard that I can see the bones," he said, "didn't you notice?" Facing the puzzled gaze of the chubby man, Chen Shirsan said word by word, "It has evolved into 5 fingers. So their hand movements are more delicate, and they are more adept at peeling." He should have thought of this long ago, and Chen Shirsan sighed with some regret. The speed of monster evolution is truly amazing, but fortunately Tang Liao's driving skills are excellent. Although it is very dark outside and the travel bus is large, he still drives fast and steadily. "Don't worry about how many fingers it has. I'll just put in full power and don't believe these monsters can still catch up." He slammed on the gas pedal and forcefully pushed the bus out of the back of the sports car. Looking at the confident expression on everyone's faces, Chen Shirsan could only temporarily suppress the deep worries in his heart. He sat with the fat man and little glasses, feeling a bit tired, and closed his eyes to rest. The calm atmosphere did not last long, and the red indicator light on the steering wheel lit up, indicating that the fuel tank was already low at this time. Tang Liao is truly an experienced driver with rich driving experience. He calmly calculated that this amount of gasoline can support a travel bus for at most 3 more hours. For regular long-distance passenger transportation, backup gasoline is carried in the luggage compartment just in case. Anyway, we should have already thrown away all the monsters. If you really don't have enough gasoline by then, you can try your luck in the luggage compartment and maybe find some. The fat man wrapped his coat tightly and curled his head under the collar. "We'll talk about things in 3 hours. Can we solve the current problem first? Can we find something to block the glass first? It's leaking from all sides and it's too cold." Black Brother was also extremely cold. He gathered his travel manual and some promotional advertisements from the backrest of his seat and took out a lighter from his pocket. Little Glasses saw that Black Brother was about to light the travel manual, so they quickly stopped him and said, "No way, Black Brother. It's too dangerous to start an open flame in the car. The wind outside is so strong, it's easy to get burned. Moreover, Tang Gu said that there may still be spare gasoline in the luggage compartment. When the open flame encounters gasoline, we will not be bitten to death by the monster, but will be burned to death by the fire instead." Seeing his desire to start a fire for warmth interrupted, Black Brother could only reluctantly shrug his shoulders and try to use seat covers to block the hole in the car window. A few big men, none of whom are good at household chores, coupled with a shortage of tools in the car, these seat covers were tossed and turned around, but they couldn't block the hole in the window. They were feeling a bit deflated as they lay on the seats, gasping at their frozen hands. Dee-dee, 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 dee-dee. Dee-dee, 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 dee-dee. The piercing alarm sound swirled inside the car, and the fuel tank, which was originally flashing a red light, suddenly sounded an oil leak warning. Although Tang Liao was wearing the driver's gloves and his fingers had long been numb from the cold, he nervously controlled the bus, but felt that his steering wheel was becoming increasingly difficult to control. What's going on? Why did it suddenly leak oil? Isn't it because the weather was too cold that the fuel tank froze and cracked? The steering wheel turned rapidly, gradually showing a trend of getting out of control. Tang Liao quickly stepped on the brake, pulled the clutch to the bottom, and the huge travel bus swayed back and forth on the narrow mountain road until a series of sparks were generated by the friction between the tires and the ground. After winding for several tens of meters on the ground, it finally stopped in the middle of the road. Chen Shirsan muttered inwardly, "It's not frost cracking. It's a monster under the car. We just couldn't attract all the monsters hidden in the luggage compartment, they're destroying the fuel tank. What should we do? We need to find a way to make them stop," he said, holding onto the chubby guy tightly as his little glasses spoke in a panicked tone, "Damn it, I'll go to the luggage compartment now and fight with it." Black Brother was afraid and cold all night, and now he was stimulated by the monster, and his whole body was filled with arrogance. He grabbed the mop and axe, and was about to crawl out of the glass hole. Chen-Shur-san gave the fat man a glance, indicating that he should quickly stop Black Brother who was about to rush out. The space under the car is narrow and there is no light. Based on Heiji's height and weight, it may be inconvenient to move and it is difficult to perform movements, which is no different from sending him to death. We can't go down. If you want to put them together, you have to force them out. Put them together where we can all see them and they can be used effectively. Drive the monster out. Black Brother watched in confusion as Chen-Shur-san walked to the driver's seat and replaced Tang Liao, who was still in shock. Chen-Shur-san slowly pulled the clutch, combined with the throttle, to slowly start the travel bus that had finally stopped. He lowered the gear, kept the bus at a constant speed, and turned on the warm air to the fullest. "Ha! It's so warm. Hey buddy, didn't you say you can't turn on the air conditioning? You need to save electricity." Tang Liao had already calmed his mind. He leaned back in the chair and let out a deep breath. There was a hint of jealousy in his eyes as he looked at Chen-Shur-san. His actions were right, he said, "This is based on the principle of using warm air to burn the coolant inside the car, in order to cool down the engine. If those monsters got into the car because they liked warmth, then lower the temperature under the car and let the indoor temperature rise. In this way, they can be forced to run out of the car and then enter the car." Upon hearing Tang Liao's words, Black Brother, Fat Man, and Little Glasses quickly regained their energy, their eyes fixed on the holes in the car window. If the monster really comes out of the car and enters the car, then they will have a fierce battle. Chen-Shur-san controlled his speed while secretly praying in his heart. His method is extremely risky. If there are still one or two monsters hidden under the car, it's not bad, after all, they can still give it a try. But in case. Chapter 8. Monsters Grow Faces. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tang Liao stood stiffly at the glass opening of the side window of the car, gripping the mop in his hand with a cold tone. "Xiao Chen, have you ever thought about it? What if there are more than one or two monsters under the car? How can you make us deal with it?" Black Brother and Fat Man were nervously facing the rear window of the car. "I said let's not worry about so much for now. Anyway, we can't let them continue to damage the fuel tank. If they continue to destroy us, not only will we not be able to drive, but we will also have no electricity, and then we will really have a dead end." Chen-Shur-san controlled the steering wheel, and of course he had thought that the risk of this plan was too high. Once it fell into crisis and reached a last resort, Plan B had to be activated. Upon hearing that there was still Plan B, Little Glasses' pale face finally looked better. Plan B, what is it?" Chen-Shur-san's eyes were deep and he said, "If we really can't handle it by then we'll abandon the car. Having a car under cover is certainly safer, but if there are too many monsters under the car, the travel bus is just a chicken rib. Since it's a chicken rib, abandoning the car can also be a solution. The high temperature in the car will attract monsters to stay for a while longer. In addition, they have not yet evolved their vision, so when we abandon the car and leave, perhaps we can hold on for a while longer." As he spoke, Chen-Shur-san looked at the clock on the bus again. It was midnight at this time, and they could pass for another 6 hours. Black Brother gritted his teeth and said, "Isn't it just abandoning the car? What a big deal. I'm from northeast China, and northeastern men are bloody. Even if we endure, we can definitely get through it." The travel bus continued to move slowly and leisurely on the road, with the cold wind constantly pouring into the car. The roaring sound of the wind made this night somewhat unusual. The fat man rubbed his tired arm and said, "Am I too sensitive? Why do I always feel like something is staring at me?" Tang Liao turned his neck and said, I feel the same way. I feel like I'm being watched. His small glasses were tucked in the middle of the car seat, and he hugged his arm, trying to feel it. Ah, 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 ah. A bald and chubby head was sneakily lying on the car window behind him. This head has a pair of eyes of different sizes, and a large piece of flesh is missing from the nose, revealing a nasal cavity filled with sticky liquid. There is a crack in its mouth, although it cannot be heard, it can be felt to be chirping. Little Glasses looked at this strange face and felt that his blood had stopped all over his body. He struggled to climb off the seat and his legs were so weak that he couldn't stand up. I went there, what kind of thing is this again? How come it looks so ugly? The fat man spat on the ground, paying attention to the rear window of the car where he was, while constantly looking in the direction of the monster. His eyes were not enough. Tang Liao squinted his eyes and carefully scrutinized the monster, which was full of flesh and fat. He felt that there was also a hint of inexplicable familiarity in its strange appearance. Do you think it looks a bit familiar? Black Brother nodded in agreement and said, it's a bit. Like a driver. Chen Shisan slammed a steering wheel and knocked the monster towards the nearby cliff. It's imitating the driver's face. This monster has evolved a face. The monster laughed and dodged the impact of the cliff. It dodged and came to the open glass window on Tang Liao's side. Tang Liao's reaction speed was extremely fast. He fiercely thrust the mop stick in his hand forward, stabbing it into the rotten meat of the monster. The monster raised its claws and grabbed his face. Tang Liaoyan took a few steps back to avoid the attack and stumbled into the armrest of the seat. Tang Gu, bow down. Black Brother swung the driver's body and threw it in the direction of the monster. The monster had just climbed into the carriage when it was stabbed by a mop stick. It was when it was standing unsteadily that it was hit by the driver's body, and for a moment it looked a bit like a golden star. Black Brother looked at the monster standing unsteadily, quickly stretched out his long leg and aimed it at the monster's chest with just one kick. The monster fell to the ground with a loud thud, and was quickly pinned down by the fat man with quick eyes and hands. Chen Shisan picked up the fragments of glass inside the car, exerted a force on his wrist, and stabbed the monster's neck. The glass fragments penetrated its throat, bringing out a large amount of foul-smelling crimson blood. The monster made a gurgling sound in its throat and soon stopped struggling. Sure, buddy. Look at your fragile appearance, I didn't expect you to be quite aggressive. The fat man vigorously patted Chen Shisan's shoulder and supported his legs to get up from the monster. A hint of uncertainty flashed on Tang Liao's face, and he quickly adjusted to a gentle smile. Xiao Chen is very good, hidden and not exposed. He looks weak on the outside, but I didn't expect his skills to be so good. The little glasses were still collapsed under the seat, and he took deep breaths. The scene just now really scared him. Great, our method works. We really pulled it out. Just as a few people breathed a sigh of relief and planned to continue driving, Chen Shisanyi grabbed Black Brother's neck and pulled him to the side. Be careful. There's another one behind. Another huge black figure jumped into the car through the glass hole in the rear window. Its long claws were ferocious and extended forward. If it weren't for Chen Shisan's quick reaction just now, he might have already been pierced by it. Black Brother was so frightened that he quickly thanked him. This one is obviously much faster than the one just now. Little Glasses squeezed himself in the seat gap, unable to stand up at all. His lips trembled, and even his voice trembled uncontrollably. Its face. It's Wu Mei's. The face of this monster is obviously much more exquisite than the one just now. Even traces of Wu Mei's European-style double eyelids can be seen on its eyes of different sizes. Everyone, cheer up and cooperate again. Black Brother shouted loudly, avoiding the claws of the monster flying towards him. The fat man was so anxious that he swung the driver's body again and threw it over the monster's head. Although the monster was hit by the body, it did not slow down its movement. It made a leap, jumped onto the luggage rack on the roof, and then jumped fiercely, straight in front of Black Brother. Damn it! Why is it coming towards me again? In the car, the monster was like a tracker, closely following Black Brother, and the fat man's attempts to stop him were clearly ineffective. Black Brother was chased and panted heavily, and several attempts to dodge were clearly inadequate. Chen Shisan waved the glass fragments in his hand and inserted them straight into the monster's back. The monster let out a painful scream and swung even more ferocious claw winds at Black Brother. It can have such a clear goal for only one reason. It can see it. Chapter 9. As long as we hold on until morning, we will clear the customs. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The monster's evolution once again caught everyone in the car off guard. It was carrying glass shards all over its body and recklessly crashed towards Black Brother. Black Brother. The monster's long nails, with a cold chill, mercilessly pierced into Black Brother's stomach, and a large amount of bright red warm liquid gushed out along the digging of the nails. Black Brother let out a muffled cry, his eyes darkened, and he could no longer stand. The fat man quickly picked up Black Brother, who had already collapsed on the ground, and pulled him towards the front of the car. Ignoring the possibility of being scratched by the glass, Chen Shisan grabbed a handful of glass fragments from the ground and stabbed them into the monster's eyes. A large amount of glass debris entered the monster's underdeveloped eyeball, and thick blood mixed with tissue fluid flowed into Chen Shisan's hand. The monster covered its eyes and let out a scream, falling onto the backrest of the seat. Tang Liao seized the opportunity, waved the wrench in his hand, and used all his strength to smash the monster's head into a blood hole. Black Brother, how are you? Can you still hold on? At this point, Black Brother had regained his consciousness and allowed his little glasses to tightly wrap the wound on his abdomen. Although these seat covers couldn't repair the window, they were quite effective as a tourniquet. Yes. Little glasses helped Black Brother stand at the innermost part of the front of the car, while Fat Man, Chen Shisan, and Tang Liao stood nervously facing the car window. Be careful. There's one up ahead. A monster smashed the glass with a loud bang and entered the carriage through the front window. Its paws grabbed at the small glasses, and the chubby man quickly turned to support. With a sound of the fabric being torn, bone-deep wounds appeared on the chubby man's arm. Fatty and Black, the two of them fiercely attacked the monster in the front window of the car, and soon their bodies were covered in blood. Little Glasses collapsed with a crying voice as he shouted at the rear window, "Back! Back in!" Tang Liao and Chen Shisan were agile enough to dodge the monster's attack from the rear car window, but Black Brother, who had already been seriously injured, couldn't escape. His back was exposed in the monster's view and was once again scratched by the monster's claws. Black Brother. Hold on. I'm fighting with you guys. The fat man launched a fierce attack on the monster's heart, but the next second he was frightened by the monster rushing in from the back window and falling into an ice cellar. Back is all there. How could there be so much of this thing? We can't handle it. Tang Liao blocked the monster's collision, and his chest was wet with blood spat out. How many of these things are hidden under the car? For a moment, groups of monsters flooded into the car, waving their powerful arms and forcing Chen Shisan and others to concentrate in the middle of the carriage. Quickly, the few people were covered in fresh blood and minced meat. Under the influence of adrenaline, Black Brother couldn't even feel the pain and charged forward with all his might. Too many. We're not their opponents. If you can't handle it, get off. Everyone get off. Chen Shisan shouted loudly and smashed open one side of the glass window. He and the chubby guy escorted their inexperienced glasses out of the car first. Tang Liao couldn't resist and used all his strength to smash open the window on the other side. Black Brother. Don't love war. Let's go. The monster quickly stopped the fat man who wanted to get off the car, but was hit by Chen Shisan with a hammer at the wrist of his paw. The monster's paw loosened, and the fat man skillfully jumped out of the gap. Black Brother's eyes were stained with war intent and turned red. His right hand had long been bitten off, and his flesh tendon was hanging on one side of his body with a tiny bit of flesh attached. His left hand, however, grasped the glass and fiercely stabbed the monster's throat. Chen Shirsan looked at He Gu, who couldn't awaken his irrational thoughts, and immediately carried him on his back. He Gu, hold on, let's get off together. The rain and snow outside the car were mixed, and the strong wind was raging in the forest, causing an unknown chirping of birds. Perhaps because of his greed for the warmth inside the carriage, the monster did not catch up. Black Brother's bright red eyes finally regained a hint of clarity. He coughed heavily, and the blood foam he spat out stained Chen Shirsan's coat red. Black Brother. Fatty guy, little glasses, quickly helped to put the person off Chen Shirsan's back. I saw Black Brother's back, and I don't know when he was stabbed by the monster's claws again. This wound directly injured his lungs, causing every word he said to have a strong aura in his voice. I'm not running anymore. You guys go. I'll rest here for a while. Tang Liao stood silently in the grass not far from a few people, observing the monsters inside the carriage while planning a waiting route. He has gone through 3 rounds of dungeons, and the situation of separation and death is the most common. People like Black Brother who have been seriously injured are basically unable to survive. Instead of wasting time with a dead person, it's better to think carefully about how to live until 6 o'clock in the morning. At this time, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and in 4 more hours, you can clear the customs. Tang Liao grabbed the mop and stick, ignoring the Black Brother and the others, but walked towards the unknown wilderness with deep and shallow feet. Chen Shirsan was so stubborn that he wanted to carry Black Brother onto his body again, but was interrupted by Black Brother spitting out a mouthful of blood. Don't waste your strength, don't even look at yourself. What kind of injuries you've made. The chubby man choked up and hugged Black Brother's body. Chen Shirsan can't carry you and me. I can't carry you and you have little glasses. The 3 of us can carry you together, and the relay can also carry you up. Black Brother waved his hand with little remaining strength, and he was so weak that he slowly closed his eyes, as if he didn't even have the strength to speak. I'm not running anymore. I'm hiding here. It's dark, they can't see me. You guys. Hurry up and leave. It was not easy for you to escape. Little Glasses looked at Black Brother's increasingly heavy eyelids and couldn't bear it at all. He tentatively asked for Chen Shirsan's opinion in a low voice. How about listening to Black Brother? If he hides in the grass until 6 o'clock in the morning, it can also be considered as passing the level. The 3 of us have all been injured and have difficulty moving. Taking Black Brother may be even more dangerous. Chen Shirsan and the chubby guy exchanged a glance, then turned to Black Brother, who was so quiet that he seemed to be asleep. The road ahead was long, and no one could say whether it was safer to stay here or to explore the deep forest. Black Brother. Take care. They moved Black Brother's little heart to deeper grass and found many leaves to cover it. Finally, the 3 of them supported each other and walked towards the direction away from the bus. The fat man lifted his head and casually wiped his eyes. What a pity, my chocolate fell off when I just got off the car. Little Glasses pulled his arm and comforted him. My glasses have also fallen off. It's okay, let's hold on until morning together. As long as we hold on until morning, we'll clear the customs. Chapter 10. Car Bombing. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. On a pitch-black night, 3 people in the deep mountains struggled to move forward in the extremely cold, rainy and snowy weather. The fat man wiped the water droplets on his face and couldn't help but worry, saying, I don't know how long the gasoline in the car is enough to run the air conditioning. It's really a pity that the monster wasted a lot. You say, if the air conditioning stops and the temperature inside the car drops, without any temperature attraction, will those damn monsters catch up? Chen Shisan estimated the time and found that they had been walking for almost half an hour. According to consumption calculations, the gasoline would soon run out, and the air conditioning would also stop working, leaving them with little time left. Let's quickly find a place to hide. We finally ran out, but we can't just let the monster catch up like this. Upon hearing that the monster might still catch up, the panic that little glasses had temporarily suppressed resurfaced. There are so many monsters, if we really catch up, we'll be dead. No, we need to speed up. After speaking, little glasses fell into the mud in embarrassment due to taking too big a step. The fat man quickly reached out to help, but in the sudden loud noise, he lost his balance and fell into contact with his little glasses. The mountains and forests shook violently, and a nearby location instantly burst into flames. Oh my goodness! Look! What a big fire is rising on the travel bus. The corners of the little glasses trembled as they looked towards the direction of the loud noise. And those monsters! They are all shrouded in a big fire. Oh my, they are going to be burned into coke. Chen Shisan stood in the cold night, watching the towering heat waves rolling and spreading. He heard the howls of the monsters becoming weaker and weaker, eventually turning into faint sounds of wind. The expression on his face was unpredictable against the backdrop of the flames. The fat man shook his head to ease the lingering tinnitus and said, "Did our travel bus explode?" Explosion. All the monsters have been killed by the explosion. Then we don't have to run anymore. The fat man took Chen Shisan's silence as his default, and he clapped his hand happily, feeling a rare relief on his body. That's great. There's help now. But the bus is in good condition, how could it suddenly explode? As if thinking of something, the chubby man widened his eyes and couldn't help but feel sour. He remembered that Black Brother was carrying a lighter. The fuel tank under the car is leaking oil. If Black Brother ignites a lighter under the car, it is very likely to cause this explosion. But. He's still injured, so badly injured. If the car explodes, how can he escape? The fat man choked up, unable to speak. Black Brother is not a newcomer, and his decision was clearly made after careful consideration. Of course, he knows that with his current physical condition, he cannot escape the damage caused by the explosion at this time. At the moment he decided to bomb the car, he never thought of escaping. Why is he so foolish? We could have thought of other ways. Maybe if we hold on for a while longer, we can survive. We can. The fat man paused and didn't continue because he knew very well that exploding a car was currently the most efficient and cost-effective method. Other than that, no one can kill so many monsters at once. Chen Shisan stared at the direction of the explosion, his pupils reflecting the blazing flames. Let's go. Even though he is very sad now, and even if he wants to rush over and explore the faint possibility that Bo Hage is still alive, reason has made him choose to continue moving forward. If such monsters still exist in the forest, the temperature generated by the explosion will surely attract their attention. The location of the travel bus is currently the most dangerous place in the entire forest. Only by walking in the opposite direction can they possibly shake them off. A large amount of wet snowflakes fell on the faces of the three, blocking their vision, making the journey even more difficult. The fat man stood unsteadily, his legs trembling as he knelt down on the ground. Oh my! What's wrong? It's okay. I just accidentally tripped over something. With the almost negligible and indifferent moonlight and the distant firelight, the chubby man tentatively reached out and touched the protruding spherical object that suddenly tripped him. His hand touched the surface of the object and felt a sticky sensation, with a smell of soil and rust. The smell of this thing is so disgusting. The fat man broke a slender branch from a nearby tree and held it in his hand. The branch poked the round spherical object on the ground, and a stream of mucus was released. Damn it! What kind of thing is this? How could it still carry flowing water? He lowered his head, carefully identified, and after a moment, a strong desire to vomit swept through his entire stomach. Oh. Oh. This thing. It seems like a skinned head. Chen Shisan crossed over the chubby man who was still vomiting and lay near the head, groping until he found a piece of clothing fragment. Little Glasses looked at the increasingly dim moonlight with a frightened expression on their face. Let's go quickly, it's not safe here. Maybe this is another victim killed by a monster. Look. Not far ahead, there happens to be a cave. We can hide inside and definitely avoid the monster's attack. Chen Shisan straightened up, his eyes obscure and difficult to understand. Head. Who do you think this is? Whose head? This question is really a bit strange. The fat man shook his head in confusion. He had just arrived here, how could he know whose head it was? Little Glasses tried to keep up with Chen Shisan's thought, whose head? Our destination is Giyi village, maybe this is the head of the villagers in Giyi village. Villagers. Chen Shisan doesn't think so. The monster's previous attack method has always been to peel off its skin. But this person not only has no face, but also no body. Resulting in the inability to judge his identity based on his attire. Monster, that thing is going crazy. Of course, you can kill anyone you want. Why is this person with only a head left? How could we possibly know? Little Glasses found it difficult to understand what Chen Shisan meant by suddenly standing still here at this moment. He anxiously urged, let's go quickly, this is not a good time to discuss this. Let's hide in the cave first and then study slowly. Chen Shisan ignored the tug of his glasses and said, I think this matter is worth discussing now. The fat man tilted his head curiously and said, why do you say that? Because of this.